Have you ever wondered where diseases come from and how they manage to stick around? They often find safe havens known as reservoirs where they can survive and multiply. A reservoir can be anything: a place, a person, an animal, or even an inanimate object. Picture this: you're in a vast ocean, bobbing along as a tiny microorganism. You need a safe place to multiply and survive. So you find a ship, a huge, accommodating vessel. That's your reservoir. Now imagine this ship could be a human being, an animal, or even an inanimate object like water or soil. These are all potential reservoirs, housing diseases and allowing them to flourish. So when we talk about reservoirs in the context of diseases, we're talking about these safe havens, these ships in the vast ocean of life that harbor these disease-causing organisms. Now let's dive deeper into the three main types of reservoirs: humans, animals, and non-living reservoirs. So what exactly are human reservoirs? Well, when we talk about human reservoirs, we're not referring to a vast body of water held within a person. No, in this context, a reservoir is a term used in epidemiology, the study of disease patterns, causes and effects. It refers to a host that harbors a disease. In the case of human reservoirs, we're talking about humans who carry a disease. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Often, these human carriers might not show any symptoms of the disease, but they can still spread the disease to others. This can occur through various means such as physical contact, airborne transmission, or even through sharing personal items. Let's take a look at a couple of examples to better illustrate this concept. The common cold and the flu are perfect examples of diseases that can be carried and spread by human reservoirs. Imagine this scenario. A person with the common cold sneezes in a crowded subway car. They might not feel particularly unwell, and maybe they don't even realize they're sick. However, the tiny droplets from their sneeze can now be inhaled by other passengers or come into contact with surfaces that others might touch. Before you know it, a single sneeze has turned the subway car into a moving petri dish of disease transmission. The flu operates similarly. An individual might be infected with the flu virus but not show symptoms for up to 2 days. During this time, they can unwittingly spread the disease to others. This is why it's so crucial to practice good hygiene and take preventive measures during flu season. Of course, these are just two examples. There are many other diseases that humans can carry and spread without showing symptoms. This includes serious illnesses like HIV, hepatitis, and even COVID-19. In each case, the human reservoir plays a significant role in the transmission and spread of the disease, but it's not all doom and gloom. Understanding the concept of human reservoirs is key to preventing the spread of diseases. It helps us in tracing the source of an outbreak and in developing effective strategies for disease control and prevention. This understanding has been instrumental in shaping public health policies and practices around the world. However, it's also important to remember that humans are not the only reservoirs for diseases. Animals, and even non-living things, can also serve as reservoirs. Each plays a unique role in the life cycle of various diseases, and understanding these roles can provide us with valuable insights in our fight against diseases. As we can see, humans can be a significant reservoir for diseases, but they are not the only ones. Now let's turn our attention to our furry, feathery, and scaly friends, animals. Animals are a significant part of our ecosystem, but did you know they can also act as reservoirs for diseases? This means they can harbor pathogens, like viruses, bacteria, or parasites, that can cause diseases. These pathogens can sometimes jump species and infect humans, a process known as zoonotic transmission. The transmission can happen in a variety of ways. Direct contact is one of the most common. This can occur when a person comes into contact with the saliva, blood, urine, or other body fluids of an infected animal. For instance, a person can contract rabies if bitten by an infected animal, but it's not just about direct contact. Sometimes disease transmission can occur through vectors, organisms that do not cause disease themselves, but transmit infection by conveying pathogens from one host to another. Ticks and mosquitoes are perfect examples of this. These tiny creatures can carry diseases from animals to humans without getting ill themselves. Take Lyme disease, for example. It's caused by the bacterium Borrelia burgdorferi, and it's transmitted to humans through the bite of infected black-legged ticks. These ticks are often found on deer and mice, among other animals. When a tick bites an infected animal, it picks up the bacteria and can later transmit it to humans. Or consider the West Nile virus, a disease primarily transmitted to people through the bite of an infected mosquito. Mosquitoes become infected when they feed on infected birds, which are the primary hosts of the virus. Now let's journey into the wild. Some diseases can also originate from wild animals and make their way to humans. This is often the case with bats, which are known to carry a variety of viruses that can infect humans, including the rabies virus and, as some scientists believe, coronaviruses. But it's not just about the wild. Even our beloved pets can sometimes carry diseases. Cat scratch disease, for instance, is a bacterial infection that people can get by being scratched or bitten by a cat. Now, this doesn't mean you should start avoiding animals or your furry friends. Many zoonotic diseases can be prevented with proper hygiene, safe handling of pets, and by taking preventive measures like using insect repellent when going into areas where vectors like ticks and mosquitoes are common. It's also important to remember that animals, just like humans, often do not show any signs of being infected. They can appear perfectly healthy while carrying a pathogen. This is why regular checkups and vaccinations for pets are so important. Animals play a crucial role in disease transmission, but there's one more type of reservoir we need to consider. Non-living reservoirs may not seem as obvious, but they play a significant role in disease transmission. Let's delve into the world of non-living reservoirs, a world that includes objects like soil, water, and even the air we breathe. Non-living reservoirs, also known as environmental reservoirs, can be a source of some pretty nasty diseases. These reservoirs are not alive, but they provide an environment where pathogens can survive, multiply, and eventually infect a host. It's a rather sinister thought, but it's the reality we live in. Consider soil, for instance. It's not just dirt, it's a complex ecosystem teeming with microscopic life. It can be a reservoir for bacteria, parasites, and viruses. One particularly nasty bacterium that resides in the soil is Clostridium tetani, the cause of tetanus. This bacterium produces spores that can survive in the soil for years, waiting for the chance to infect a host. Water, too, can be a non-living reservoir. Waterborne diseases are a major concern worldwide, especially in areas with poor sanitation. A classic example is cholera, caused by the bacterium Vibrio cholerae, which can contaminate water sources and cause severe diarrheal disease. Air, as well, can act as a non-living reservoir. Airborne diseases like tuberculosis and measles can linger in the air for hours, waiting to be inhaled by a susceptible host. Food, another non-living reservoir, can harbor a range of pathogens. Botulism, a potentially fatal illness, is caused by a toxin produced by the bacterium Clostridium botulinum, which can be found in improperly canned or preserved foods. Even man-made environments can act as non-living reservoirs. Legionnaire's disease, for example, is caused by the bacterium Legionella pneumophila, which can thrive in warm water environments like hot tubs, cooling towers, and large plumbing systems. But here's the thing. While these non-living reservoirs may seem daunting, we have developed ways to combat them. Techniques such as sterilization, pasteurization, and filtration can remove or kill pathogens in these reservoirs. Vaccination can protect us against diseases like tetanus. Public health measures like sanitation and safe food handling practices can minimize the risk of infection. So yes, non-living reservoirs can be just as dangerous as their living counterparts. But with knowledge, vigilance, and the right strategies, we can mitigate their risks. Remember, understanding these non-living reservoirs is key to preventing the spread of disease. They may not have a heartbeat, but they are very much alive with potential threats. And just like living reservoirs, these non-living ones are an integral part of the complex web of life and disease. Non-living reservoirs can be just as dangerous as their living counterparts, but each type of reservoir has its unique characteristics. So let's respect them, understand them, and most importantly, let's stay informed. Because knowledge, after all, is the best defense. Now that we've looked at each type of reservoir, how do they compare and contrast? Well, let's dive right in and start with their similarities. Human, animal, and non-living reservoirs all serve as homes for infectious agents. They provide the necessary conditions for these agents to survive, multiply, and eventually be transmitted to a new host. This could be through direct contact, inhalation, ingestion, or even via vectors such as mosquitoes or ticks. Now on to the contrast. When we talk about human reservoirs, we're referring to individuals who harbor a specific infectious agent and knowingly or unknowingly spread the infection to others. They may show symptoms of the disease, or they might be asymptomatic carriers. The latter is particularly tricky because these individuals can unknowingly spread the disease to others. while appearing perfectly healthy themselves. In contrast, animal reservoirs encompass a wider range of hosts. These could be domesticated animals like dogs and cats, livestock such as cows and pigs, or wild creatures like bats and rodents. The disease can be transmitted to humans through direct contact with the animal, consumption of contaminated animal products, or via vectors. Diseases that jump from animals to humans are known as zoonotic diseases, and they make up about 60% of all infectious diseases in humans. Non-living reservoirs, on the other hand, are quite different. These are physical environments where infectious agents can survive and remain infectious for a period of time. They can include soil, water, and even inanimate objects like doorknobs or surgical instruments. Disease transmission from non-living reservoirs usually occurs through ingestion, inhalation, or direct contact. So how does each type of reservoir contribute to disease transmission in different ways? Well, human reservoirs are typically the primary source of infection for diseases that are exclusive to humans. Think of diseases like measles or HIV. These diseases rely on human-to-human transmission to propagate. Animal reservoirs, meanwhile, play a crucial role in the spread of zoonotic diseases. These diseases can sometimes be more severe in humans than in their animal hosts. An example that's been in the headlines recently is the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, which is believed to have originated from bats. Non-living reservoirs can be particularly problematic because they can often go unnoticed until a disease outbreak occurs. For instance, Legionnaire's disease, a type of pneumonia, is caused by bacteria that thrive in warm water environments like hot tubs and air conditioning systems. Understanding these differences is crucial in the fight against disease. By knowing how diseases spread from these reservoirs, we can better implement control measures. This might involve improving hygiene practices to reduce human-to-human transmission, monitoring and vaccinating animal populations to prevent zoonotic diseases, or ensuring that our environments are clean and free from potential non-living reservoirs. In conclusion, while human, animal, and non-living reservoirs all serve as homes for infectious agents, they each contribute to disease transmission in unique ways. Recognizing these differences can help us be more effective in our efforts to prevent and control the spread of diseases. Understanding these differences is crucial in the fight against disease. So what have we learned about reservoirs? Well, we've delved into the fascinating world of human, animal, and non-living reservoirs. We've seen how human reservoirs, like us, can harbor and transmit diseases, often unknowingly. We've also explored the intriguing realm of animal reservoirs, creatures great and small that can carry pathogens without showing any signs of illness themselves, acting as a silent source of disease. But it doesn't stop there. We've uncovered the surprising fact that non-living reservoirs, things like water, soil, and even food, can also be a hotbed for disease-causing organisms. Each of these reservoirs plays a distinct role in disease transmission, making their understanding vital for effective disease control and prevention. In essence, reservoirs are more than just a source. They are the critical link in the chain of infection. So, next time you think about where diseases come from, remember the crucial role that reservoirs play. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay healthy.